It is just gone 2 p.m. Central African time here in Bamane, weather operating at around 24 degrees Celsius. And that exactly marks a very warm welcome to you as we welcome you to the very first episode of Eswatini Revenue Service Market View. I'm your host, Sifiso Ngumala, and today marks the beginning of a new journey in how we engage with the business landscape, as the Tuesdays of Market View from today will be down to the ERS Market View, meaning Eswatini Revenue Service. At the forefront of our agenda today, the Eswatini Revenue Service has sent out an important reminder to all its clients. This year's tax filing season, everything moves online. That's right. All tax filings will be done via the ERS online platform with the assurance that assistance will be provided every step of the way. In just a moment, as we continue with the program, our remarkable business journalist, Nelson Ndlangamandla, will sit down with Ndobeko Dlamini. Guess where she's from? Well, she's the Acting Director of Communications and Marketing at the Eswatini Revenue Service. They're going to unpack how this shift will impact businesses and individuals alike, I beg your pardon. And on our final segment, we'll be joined by none other than Sanele Sibia for an insightful market analysis. We want to touch on key movements, with the Dow Jones up by 0.15%, Europe's FTSE 100 climbing by 0.36%, and in Asia, the Hang Seng Index is surging by an impressive 4.13%. So whether you're a business owner or simply curious about what's driving today's financial world, stay with us here on ERS Market View for what promises to be an eye-opening discussion. Let's kickstart the show by looking at today's business news. Let's get right to it. The first story, the Eswatini Revenue Service says all systems have been put in place to assist clients this tax filing season. Now, this has been said by the Acting Director of Communications, Ndobeko Dlamini. She was detailing the importance of filing taxes as the tax filing season has already started.
Our clients at the ERS will be filing on taxis for the first time this year. We launched taxis in March of this year. So as they conduct their filings and their tax obligations, we just want to encourage my clients at Fuguti, can they reach out, let them reach out to us should they experience any issues during this filing season. All clients are expected to file their tax returns on taxis. It's the only platform that we are having our clients update us on their tax returns for the year. And we are available to assist through our virtual services challenges. We have a contact center. Clients can reach us on 2406 4050. They can email us at info@ers.org.za, or they can send us a WhatsApp on 7606 3735. So as they conduct their filing of their tax returns this year, we really do encourage our clients, should you have any issues, should you face any challenges as you are navigating tax ease, we are here to help.
All right, moving along, the Minister for Finance, Honorable Neil Reichenberg, says the ministry is taking the necessary measures to address corruption. He was speaking when he said that the country can fully eradicate corruption. That's only if everyone plays their part, and this includes citizens reporting corruption. There's a report.
First of all, the impact of corruption. I think everyone clearly understands that corruption doesn't only happen there in an office somewhere or happen somewhere and that doesn't have an impact. Corruption has an impact on everybody. I think as a country, we don't have a monopoly on corruption. Every country battles with corruption. It's a matter of some countries have got a bigger problem and some countries have a smaller problem, depending on the measures that they're using, I think. But every country battles with this. And as Eswatini, we definitely have our own battles around corruption. So first of all, the impact of corruption, as we understand, it affects everybody. Somebody doing corruption somewhere is taking money out of if it's corruption against government, it's taking money out of the fiscus, the money that we should be spending or should be utilizing better to give service delivery. That's why governments exist, is to be able to have people being served by a government. It's a people's government, to serve them in what they're doing. So is corruption taking place anywhere has an impact on the ability of government being able to serve their nation and serve their people. And so in Eswatini, a whole lot has been done recently to be able to try and combat corruption. We have changed the way that we contract out major works in the country, moving from remeasurable contracts to lump sum contracts. That has already had a significant impact on the cost of escalations and the cost of projects having overruns. Secondly, we have shut a few trading accounts in the country. One will recall that the trading accounts in Palala Fund and the trading accounts in CTA used to cause a lot of problems with the escalated costs again in the government. By shutting those trading accounts, it has meant that certain bleeding has stopped in those areas too. SPPRA has been set in place to really try and make sure that procurement happens a whole lot better, that there's more transparency on procurement. SPPRA has come out with a pricing catalogue to try and make sure that when we are buying things, that it's buying things within limits that are clearly set and at limits that we know of what goods cost us. As you know, the Prime Minister has been pushing very hard, speaking very firmly against corruption, taking a very firm stance against corruption, pushing all of the entities in the countries to do everything that they can to try to make sure that corruption comes to an end. And one of the impacts of that, I believe, is the ACC, one will notice, is becoming a lot more active than what we have seen them for a while. And I really believe they're changing gears and doing everything that they can to try to also play their part in stopping corruption.
All right, that marks the close of our business news segment today, but don't go anywhere just yet. We'll be back just shortly with Nelsuwe Ndlangamandla sitting down with Ndobeko from the Eswatini Revenue Service for an in-depth discussion on this year's tax filing season. What you need to do, what you need to know. We'll be back just now.
sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu
sivile sive sikhulume
Right, we get in now into our Enterprise Watch segment. We did allude to the fact that Nelsuwe Ndlangamandla, our very capable business journalist, did sit down with Ndobeko Dlamini from the Eswatini Revenue Service to discuss this year's tax filing season. Well, the Eswatini Revenue Service has reminded all its clients about the deadlines for this tax filing season, and the service has emphasized that all tax filing is going to be done online this year, and that promises to always assist clients every step of the way. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the show, Ndobeko. Last week we saw the Eswatini Revenue Service launching the tax filing season. Please remind us of the date of the filing.
Last week, we had the Honorable Minister of Finance join us here at ERS to officially launch tax season. This is the time that our business clients as well as our individual clients come back to report to us how they have fared within the year. Income that they've derived, expenses that they've had to utilize within their organizations, and just give us a view of their business operations within the year. We have 3 key deadlines that both our business and our individual clients need to take note of. Deadlines that they must have filed their returns by. First one is targeting employers. Employers are expected to submit to us their pay-as-you-earn annual reconciliation declarations by the 30th of September. They're the first group that is expected to file. We then have the next group where we are now looking at all businesses. Those are businesses that are VAT registered as well as those that are not VAT registered at this stage. They are expected to file their income tax returns by the 31st of October. So all businesses labane TIN number with us and our clients are expected to file. And then lastly, we have individuals that are also expected to file. These are individuals that have multiple sources of income. They may earn a salary, but they may have income on the side. They may have a business on the side, and high net worth individuals who earn a high net worth income. So that covers quite a large amount. Here we are looking at company directors, we are looking at clergymen, that is pastors, priestesses, anyone who works within the faith and is earning an income there. We are looking at high net worth individuals. We are looking at anyone with an income above and beyond labo labayholago. So those are the 3 key deadlines we would like to highlight to our clients to make sure that before that deadline, they must submit their annual income returns and also make payment. We encourage clients to not wait until the last day or the deadline, but reach out to us earlier so that should there be any issues that they encounter, we're also able to adequately assist them.
I know that Ndobeko, in the first story in this show, you've highlighted that filing should be done now on the digital platforms. Can you just walk us through a bit on how they are supposed to file?
We recently launched our Tax Ease platform. That's the platform that our clients use to file their tax returns, and all tax interactions that they need to do, they utilize this platform. So there's 2 ways that clients can access Tax Ease. They can either go directly to the Tax Ease URL, which is www.taxease.org.sz. Alternatively, they can visit the ERS website, and we do have a tab that will link them to the Tax Ease platform. And there, they would then enter their username and their password. So clients who have already registered onto the Tax Ease platform, Bayati, they just include their username, which is their email address that is linked to their ERS account, as well as then inputting their password. But for some clients who haven't yet registered onto Tax Ease, they will have to register, and they'll follow registration is very simple. They just follow the steps, and then they will enter that platform, and it will pull up their account information, their historical information, and following very simple steps, they are able to file the specific tax return that they are looking to file. But I'd also like to add that our team is readily available to assist should a client find any issues or have any issues while trying to file their returns. We are here to help.
Ngekubambeka Ndobeko utawukhanza ukuthi kukhona labangakhoni vele to file on time. Can they still go to the platform and file their taxes?
Yes, definitely. So you are able to file post the deadline, but it's important to note that there are penalties and interests that clients will incur that are offset immediately the day after they've missed the deadline. But in terms of filing, of course, you still are able to file. We encourage you to file. We encourage you to file as soon as possible, even after the set deadline.
Ukhuluma indzaba yekuthi pastors should also do the tax filing. I'm just interested to know, is there a certain amount the pastor should be getting from the church, or maybe every pastor should do it?
So any individual that earns an income, whether it's a clergyman, a priestess, I'll stick to that one, the income that they receive through the church, that is expected to be taxed. I think it must be clear, and we must make that clarification. We do not tax churches, but we do tax the income that the priest or the priestess or the clergy person has earned within the year.
Let's say Ndobeko someone misses all these deadlines. Mhlawumbe umuntu utawuva ngathi yati mina isikweletu sami isikhulu kakhulu. Ikhona yini indlela yokuthi noma seke ngcile lama deadlines lawa sekusikhathi lesithe niyakhona yini ukuthi asengeta nichubeke nimside?
Thanks, Nelly. I think you've raised an important point of an ongoing campaign that we have called Sonzela's Khuluma, where we encourage our clients to come to us should they have outstanding arrears with the ERS. It's important to note that ever since we have switched from being an authority to a service-oriented organization, we really are living up to that promise. And our manner of approach has completely changed from being an authoritative organization to one that is open to speaking and having conversations with their clients. One of those things one of the programs we have launched to emphasize this is the Sonzela's Khulume program that says we are open to talk, we want to understand what issues you may have, what debts you may have, and there are various interventions that the ERS has, whether it could be agreeing on a payment arrangement plan, whether it's looking at which part of your debt as an organization we can arrange to have removed. There are a variety of options that ERS does have, but the onus is on the client. Kutsi yena etekisa tasitshela kutsi uyathi sengidibane nati nginganati ningangisita kanjani. And that would be the same as well for filing.
Okay. As a parting shot, Ndobeko, what advice can you give to your clients in relation to paying tax?
Another important item or addition to make here at the ERS is we are imploring our clients to also make sure that they are engaging with compliant suppliers. So when you're onboarding a supplier or you're engaging company X, make sure you are asking for their tax compliance certificate. That's one way in which you can confirm as an organization that the organization you are engaging is tax compliant. We also are we have a way on our Tax Ease platform that clients can check whether or not a company is VAT registered. That's another thing that we want to be able to assist clients to be able to check for themselves. So on Tax Ease, should you engage a supplier who indicates that they are VAT registered, you can double check that yourself by logging on to Tax Ease and typing in their VAT registration number. If they are a registered VAT client, you'll be able to see that on our systems. So we are also imploring clients to ensure compliance. Our theme for the filing tax campaign this year is stay compliant, stay ahead. And we're just saying to all of our clients, by ensuring that they're compliant, they can stay ahead of their tax deadlines, they can ensure the financial health of their businesses. So we really are encouraging that from our taxpayers.
Thank you so much, Ndobeko, for joining us on the show. I am sure this information that you've shared with your clients will come in handy as they file their taxes this season.
Right, the Eswatini Revenue Service reminds you of those deadlines that you have just listened about from Nelson Ndangamandla and Ndobeko from the Eswatini Revenue Service. All right, now we want to round off this inaugural episode of Eswatini Revenue Service Market View by turning our attention to the markets. And Sanele Sibea is going to join us to look into, the expert analysis that he can provide for us. And he needs no introduction. Let's get into it. All right, from shifts in global indices to currency movements, it's a day of key market activity today that we simply cannot overlook. Let's dive into the numbers and see what they mean for businesses and investors in Eswatini as well as the whole globe. Sanele Sibea has joined us virtually today via a Zoom link. Sanele, very good afternoon to you. UCAT's U.S. market surge today. We've seen a modest uptake across the U.S. markets. Dow Jones up by 0.15%, S&P 500 rising by 0.28%. What do you believe is driving this positivity in the U.S. markets, and should local investors be paying attention to any specific sectors?
Good afternoon, Mr. Malo. Thank you for having me. So what we are seeing in terms of the numbers today is, we are seeing Wall Street just reacting to that interest rate cut. It's still, we are still awaiting for a barrage of economic data to come out and show us whether the economy is still in good standing in terms of economic wealth, and then we should start seeing more of this kind of bullish market return, probably later in the week after we've seen that surge after we see that economic data come out telling us where we should really look in terms of the market. But yeah, we should expect this this trend to actually sustain. What we're seeing, more especially with the Nasdaq, is even though we are seeing those worries within Intel,
I very much I regret to apologize to our viewers that we are facing a few technical issues on Sanele's Bia's end. We are making efforts, though, to make sure that we have him connect with us once again. But he was still explaining the surge that we are seeing in the U.S. markets today. Our question to him, should local investors be paying attention to any specific sectors with this rise? Is it good? Is it bad? He is still chiming in, and we hope that he's connecting really soon. But perhaps before he connects, we do want to make sure that we also chime into the European stability. We are seeing something really interesting there as well happen. FTSE 100 has risen by 0.36%, but something is very, very intriguing outside of that. The DAX is steady climbing, and it's off 0.69% today. We will want to hear from Sanele how he sees Europe's performance influencing investment decision here at home again. We are seeing a surge in the U.S. markets, some climbs as well when we turn our attention into the European market. And perhaps because time will allow, I am sure it's 21 minutes after 2, we have ample time to also look into what is happening in Asia. Of course, what we saw yesterday is different from what we are seeing today. Asian markets have had a strong day, but let's go back to the U.S. markets. I am learning that Sanele is back and he has joined us. Thank you so much for your prompt reconnection, Sanele. Seeing a modest uptick across the U.S. markets, Dow Jones up, S&P 500 rising. What do you believe is driving this positivity in the U.S. markets?
What we are seeing in terms of the markets, Mr. Ngumalo, I hope you can hear me now. So what we are seeing in terms of the markets is basically markets are trying to adjust and respond to that 50 basis point cut we saw last week Thursday. So that actually markets are looking at whether that's a signal from the Federal Reserve Bank to say that we are seeing those, should there be anything to fear in the market, or is it basically an issue to say we've held on to the rates far too high and we are just starting to let them go right now? So we are waiting to see how that is going to turn out across the week as we get more economic data to give us insights in terms of the health of the economy, of the U.S. economy that is, and then to see. And if we get data that says, the U.S. economy is still in good shape and it's still in good standing, we should then expect to see those numbers ticking upward and really just ticking up, Mr. Ngumalo.
It's an interesting spectacle, what is happening in New York. And of course, the United Nations General Assembly happening there. We are seeing some of the meetings that are happening there regarding the markets as well. I think in particular, what the South African government is doing there with Cyril Ramaphosa and his delegation, some key investment decisions. We saw he met up with Elon Musk there. Should we expect, that to effect on the markets really soon?
Yes, no, that actually is going to start chiming into the markets. But also do bear in mind that we have that meeting with, we have the elections coming up in November. So that what we are going to see in terms of those meetings is most likely an impact post the elections. But what we should be seeing in the short term is we should see congruent movements occurring in those developing markets, like your South African markets and all these other markets. So we should expect those conversations to have an impact in terms of where we should see the developing markets really sitting, Mr. Nguman.
All right, some stability as well in the European side. FTSE 100 rising by 0.36%. But what is most intriguing here? DAX is steady climbing and it's off 0.69%. How do you see Europe's performance influencing investment decisions here at home?
So what we are seeing here across Europe, Mr. Ngumalo, is the fact that we've seen with the UK yesterday, we saw the Chancellor of the Exchequer there really coming out to say to the people of the UK that the age of austerity is over. What the UK economy wants to do right now is to rebuild and build back and come back and build back better and come back to the world stage. So we should see, if the UK, when the Chancellor tables her her budget sometime next week, we should then start seeing more movements, and it should become more clearer in terms of where, if any opportunities are going to arise as the UK climbs back to the world stage and tries to lead growth and tries to lead an investment case across the UK. So that's why we're seeing the FTSE there ticking up, purely because on those sentiments that the age of austerity within the UK is over, and there's an entire 10-year plan that's up there, and that seeks to rebuild and invigorate economic growth within the UK economy, and an entire industrialization strategy that should follow that. So I think what investors need to look for domestically is, in terms of the real market, what opportunities exist for one to get on that bandwagon of the UK that's gaining prominence again on the world stage. I don't know if you look in overall Eurozone, you'll see that with Germany and with France, there is that small uptick, but the French story there is quite interesting in the fact that we are seeing that France's public debt has actually surpassed that of Spain. That's something that last happened 8 years ago. So we're seeing that France continues to battle with those bad deficit issues, but we do hope that with time those will fizzle out. And then when you look into the German economy, you will see that the projections for growth in Germany are really not so smooth. And now when we're looking at the purchasing managers indices that have come out like yesterday, they do show that there's been a bit of a slowdown in terms of those manufacturing orders. So we do hope that the German economy will actually find some strategies or some turnaround strategies, Mr. Nimar. But right now, that is driven purely by that interest rate and that demand uptick.
Yeah, you know what? I'm realizing that it's like we have opened the refrigerator that belongs to a vegetarian today. It's a lot of green, and similarly in the Asian markets, they've had quite a strong day. Hang Seng Index is surging as well. I think it's about 4.13%. Shanghai Composite up by 4.15%. Can you break down the key factors behind this rally, and perhaps what ripple effects might this have on our local economy?
So what we're seeing there happening is, the Asian economies are largely exporting economies. So with these changes in interest rates and, the forecast in demand is, we do expect those to take an uptick. And then when you look into Hang Seng, you will see that they gained some 4%, and, on that 19,000 mark for the first time in so many years. And, ever since COVID, that market is still trying to get back to those 21,000 levels that it was at. So now with this easing of monetary policy, we're seeing Hang Seng reacting positively. And in mainland China, what we are seeing there as well is they also did cut interest rate just yesterday, and markets are responding positively to that. And there is a new stimulus package that is aimed at driving the economy and growing the economy. So that's why we are seeing the overall Asians performing well as well on the background of a drop in the interest rates.
Yeah, Sanela, if you've seen, a teacher ask a very simple question in class and everyone has their hands up, that's exactly what we are seeing today. Everything is just up with these indices. And closer to home, JSE All Share Index is up by 1.13%. Given us what is close economic ties with South Africa, how does this positive movement perhaps impact investor confidence here, and what should businesses be aware of?
So looking at those numbers, because those are yesterday's numbers, since today is actually a holiday in South Africa, we saw that the Johannesburg Stock Exchange really is rallying positively to those, to the interest rate news. So what we are looking at there is, those should also trickle into the domestic economy, considering that we are.
All right, we have lost Sanela Svia. Really regret saying that to you, but it's quite obvious. But we were hopeful on currency markets as well for a moment. USD SZL is up by 0.12%. Euro SZL dips slightly, which is a first today. But perhaps trends that we are seeing in global markets today, and we wanted to understand the fluctuations and how they affect cross-border trade as well as local purchasing power. Commodities outlook as well, perhaps just to give you an overview of what we are seeing here. Brent crude jumps by 2.42% today, along with a modest rise in gold. And given Eswatini's import reliance on energy and the global demand for commodities, we would have loved to learn from Zanele how businesses should, here at home, position themselves in light of these movements. Otherwise, this has been the inaugural episode of the ERS Market View, and we thank you so much for staying with us as we, commence this very first episode. We are hopeful that you'll be with us again for our other programs today as well as tomorrow. We hope that you enjoy your afternoon today and your evening as well. Goodbye.
Strikes in Lebanon Monday, hitting districts like Sidon, Baalbek and Tyre. Authorities said hundreds were killed and thousands wounded in the attacks, making it the deadliest barrage since the 2006 Israel-Hezbollah war. The Israeli army claimed it inflicted heavy damage to the Iran-backed group.
The IDF struck 1,300 targets until now, including long-range cruise missiles, heavyweight rocket with 1,000-kilo warhead. We also struck a short and medium-range rockets and UAVs, all capable of attacking deep inside Israeli territory.
Hezbollah responded by firing hundreds of rockets towards Israel Monday. Footage showed projectiles being intercepted over Haifa by the Iron Dome. The militant group said it's acting in support of Hamas and will not stop until a ceasefire in Gaza. Israel wants to allow tens of thousands of Israelis displaced by cross-border fighting to return to their homes in the country's north. Meanwhile, highways in Lebanon were choked with traffic as thousands fled towards Beirut. The Lebanese government on Monday ordered schools and universities to close across much of the country and began preparing shelters for the displaced.
The people